And of course, Ferry was one of the great politicians, really. He was a lawyer. He was trained under Woodrow Wilson, and he was a fantastic person. He was 90-some years old when he died. I had the opportunity to spend a full day with him about a year before he died, and it's one of the great days I ever had.
Well, Dr. Frank Baker was most interesting sort of fella at the time. He had been an estate extension beef cattle specialist, but at that time he was the federal extension livestock specialist in Washington, operating over the entire country, and that was his position. And Dr. Charlie Bell was the fellow that had preceded him, so Charlie Bell sort of had a hand in that water as well. But Frank became very interested in what was going on in providing leadership.
Baker came from the academic side and was very strong at trying to put this whole database together and get the whole U.S. involved.
A lot of them became heated, but it was amazing. There was enough oil to pour on the troubled waters. And Frank Baker carried the biggest can of oil I ever saw. He could diffuse some of these kind of things better than nearly anybody. I remember in the organizational meeting, somebody gets up and makes a motion. I remember a couple of times, but pretty heated kind of a deal. Frank said, "That's fine. We're going to take that motion, but we're not ready for it yet. Quick as we get ready for it, we're going to recognize it. Is that all right?" The fellow say, "Yeah, that's all right. I guess I can wait." By the time we got the talking done, the fellow was withdrawn and he didn't have a motion anymore. And that happened so many times, and it was Frank Baker's skill, in handling those kind of things that made that work.
Frank Baker is probably one of the most capable people I've ever met in my life. Frank Baker was brilliant, but Frank Baker had a talent that I've never recognized before or since. He was working with very, very controversial people with controversial ideas, lots of them of which had egos the size of Ethiopia. Frank Baker could get a group of people together and they could get these people to agree on a goal and a policy, and every one of them would think at the end of the meeting that it was their idea. And Frank Baker, a lot of people never thought had an idea of his own, but I want to tell you, his idea ended up being the ones that these groups of people would embrace and make it happen. Truly, truly a remarkable person. And he'd say, we've got to get this policy through. We need to get this through, Dave. And I'd say, well, do you want me to do some politicking on it? No, he says, we'll have a discussion. And I'm going to ask you to speak on something. And then he would ask, and then so we'd have this discussion, and then he would kind of keep guiding where the discussion went. And then he would say, well, now, this is what the consensus is, shall we act on this now? And everybody would think it was their idea, and it was exactly where he wanted the organization to go.